All right, welcome back. Hey, we got 6 more games in the books, and I have to do the preview for tomorrow tonight because we have an early game tomorrow. I've been looking for what the reasoning is behind the game being early. It's ex-spouse day tomorrow. Like, I looked up like what the calendar is for the reason. There's some kind of a gardening day it could be. So I don't know. It's Coyotes versus Wild, so I guess it could be nature affiliated. It's just all right. So we got a matinee game tomorrow. Cool. Great. Fantastic. Perfect. Fine. So, starting off tonight, Buffalo and Boston. And you know, Anders Bjork had one of his best games of the year tonight. He did. And this is kind of what happens. You have a guy that probably is better than his standing with the Bruins. And I think if you're a Buffalo fan, you have to look at tonight's game as at least an encouraging first step for the new player. It was Ullmark versus Swayman, not for long though. And 4 of the next 7 games for Boston are against Buffalo. So Boston's fate could very well rest with how well they play against Buffalo. And coming out of tonight, I don't know. I really don't. We'll see how it goes. Miller scores from Cousins and Bjork at 1:52. That was the first shot on Swayman. So a bit nerve-wracking for Boston in that they allow a goal in the first shot. Wagner and Corelli then had a near miss right after that, so a 2-on-1 there. Riley had a point shot that was saved. I thought Riley had a decent debut with the Bruins. Bergeron had a shot saved by Tokarski, who, yes, Tokarski comes in relief for Ullmark. And I'm imagining they'll tell us what happened, but Ullmark saved the first few shots, and then he was gone, and he didn't come back. So Tokarski's the starter. And if you're a Buffalo fan, you probably just throw your hands up and go, well, of course. Ullmark's been playing too well. He probably hurt his back from carrying the team so much. Krejci would score from Lauzon and Smith at 13:20. So I think for Craig Smith, I think that's a 5-game point streak. He's playing really well. So yeah, that ties it up at 1. We get a power play for the Sabres. That was a no. With 3:09 left, the Sabres get another power play. We then get 29 seconds of a 5-on-3. So the Sabres definitely given some chances in that first period, and the Bruins end up killing all of that off. So we go to the second period. Ritchie and Irwin had a fight. So Nick Ritchie, not shy about dropping the gloves. Bergeron's line presses. Reinhart had a chance that goes high, and then Tokarski denied McAvoy. And then it's Smith at 5:29. Yeah, now, the app still shows it as unassisted. I'm pretty sure Hall should have got an assist on that, so that'll be his first point as a Boston Bruin. They'll probably change it now that I'm doing the review. I swear they changed the actual scoring after I've started this video. Pasternak then almost made it 3-1. Bruins would press at the half, and they were up in shots 9-4 with 8:30 left in the period. So the Bruins really took control, and they're up 2-1. Swayman then stopped a chance for Bjork, who, again, I thought had his best game of the year, and it's his first as a Sabre. One thing about him being with the Sabres, he will get more ice time. He will get more opportunities. The Sabres desperately need something to click. If he keeps playing like that, he'll get those chances. Cousins was then denied as well. Cousins had a good game too. Power play for the Bruins, that was a no, and it was their only power play of the game. So we go to the third. Olofsson has a one-timer that stopped. And then there was another Olofsson chance on a rush. So Olofsson had a decent run there. The Sabres had a really strong first 5 minutes, and then they score, and it's Dahlin scoring with a shot from the point. Jokiharju and Skinner with the assists at 11:53, so that tied it up at 2. The Bruins would try to answer. Again, Tokarski, pretty good start for him tonight in that he was the reliever, right? Skinner had a chance that missed high. Sabres were looking for the win late. DeBrusk couldn't bury one with 2:20 left, and we go to overtime. Yep, overtime between Boston and Buffalo. Overtime, Sabres the only team in the league with no overtime goals this year. That continues. Tokarski saved a chance from Hall. Bjork then nearly gets one. So there you go, see? Hall's traded by the Sabres, Bjork by the Bruins. Both of them had chances in overtime. It's some smart moves in coaching here. You want a chance to hurt your team your former team in overtime? Go out there and do it. Sabres control it, but we go to a shootout. And in the shootout, the Bruins do take advantage. They score twice, Coyle and DeBrusk with the goals, and they win this one 3-2 in a shootout. That's a scare if you're the Bruins. They got to wake up. The Sabres almost stole this one. Shots in this one, 11-5 Boston in the first, 13-7 Boston in the second. Buffalo outshoots them 10-7 in the third. In the overtime, Boston outshot Buffalo 2-1. Final shots 33-23 for Boston. Power plays, Buffalo 0 for 3, Boston 0 for 1. Ullmark saved all 3 shots before he's replaced by Tokarski, who saves 29 out of 31, and Swayman stops 21 out of 23 for the Boston Bruins. So the Sabres dropped to 10, 25, and 7. Again, the record's been pretty good lately, and for Boston, they're 22, 12, and 6. So they get an important 2 points, especially when you look at the game next to this one. But this could have gotten really ugly if they'd lost this one in overtime or in regulation, right? Okay. Philadelphia. Yeah, it really looks like Philadelphia is a team that's kind of done. And when you look at the standings and where we're at right now, it just seems to keep getting worse for the Flyers. It was Samsonov versus Elliott. Early press by the Capitals. Hayes then had a fast break. Samsonov makes the save there. Ovi had a shot, the light came on, but it was a save. And of course, the announcers made a little joke about how, well, it's an honest mistake. They're probably used to if Ovechkin shoots from there, it's in the back of the net. Sherry would break the goose egg from Sprong and Eller at 7:07. So Sprong continues his pretty good run for the Caps. And then Couturier would answer from Van Riemsdyk at 8:45. So the Flyers showed some fight back there. And the Flyers were then pressing for the lead. However, there's a power play for the Capitals. Elliott would deny Oshie, but he doesn't deny Wilson. Wilson gets the power play marker from Sherry and Mantha. Anthony Mantha with the assist at 11:32. Gonna guess right now Mantha's pretty happy to be a Capital. The Caps get close to 3-1 score with 6:40 left. They go back to the power play, and it's Backstrom. Backstrom gets the power play marker from Ovechkin and Karlsson at 16:25. That's 400 assists for Karlsson. Not sure if it was this one or the next one. I'm pretty sure it was this one was assist number 400. Doesn't matter. He got multiple assists, including the one on Hagelin's goal that's less than 2 minutes later. So at 18:21, Hagelin makes it 4-1 in the first period from Karlsson and Orlov at 18:21. So we go to the second period. Caps had a dangerous 2-on-1, but it was a hand pass before it went very far. There's a power play for the Panthers. That fails. And then Mantha. So his first game in Washington, he gets a goal. He gets an assist. This goal from Oshie and Backstrom at 9:22, and that made it 5-1. So my energies could be given elsewhere because this game was over. The Caps pressed with 5.5 minutes left. We go to the third period. The Capitals get a power play in the third period, and it's Ovechkin on the power play with goal number 728. So he's getting really close to Marcel Dion, and he's still within decent range of Brett Hull. I don't know that he gets there, but he's within range, right? Wilson and Sherry with the assists at 5:10. So Wilson with a couple of points, Sherry with 3 points. And then we get a power play for the Flyers. That was a no again. Samsonov, great save with 4:40 left. So Samsonov had a very good game. The Caps have a very good game. They win at 6-1. They go to 28, 11, and 4. They have a 3-game set coming up in about a week's time, or about 10 days' time against the Islanders. That could very well decide who wins the division. Philadelphia 19, 17, and 6. Their hopes are fading. Shots in this one, 19-9 Washington in the first, 7-6 Washington in the second, 15-6 Flyers in the third. Final shots 32-30 for the Caps. Power plays, Philadelphia 0 for 2, Washington 3 for 3. That's not a good penalty killing ratio if you're the Flyers. Elliott 26 saves on 32 shots. Samsonov 29 saves on 30 shots. And so for the Flyers again, defense, goaltending, all the usual suspects, and penalty killing. It's all just unraveled for the Flyers, which is weird because last season they were really good, and this season with a team that's very, very similar, it's fallen apart. So man, look for them to bounce back next year for no reason other than that's how this works in Philadelphia Flyers recent history. Bad year, good year, bad year, good year. Now we're in the bad year. It's just how that works. All right, next up, Rangers. So while the Philadelphia Flyers were failing to make this work, the Rangers were showing they're in this. And the Rangers, while they are behind the Bruins, and like I said, the Bruins, 4 of their next 7, including tonight, are against Buffalo. So that makes it more difficult. unless the Bruins struggle in those games against Buffalo. But for the Rangers against the Devils tonight, this is the first of 4 straight meetings. So the Rangers have 4 in a row against the Devils. So we'll see whether or not the schedule might help the Rangers out too. Severson and Kreider had a fight relatively early in this game. Blackwood saved a chance for Kakko. The Devils press at 6 minutes. Panarin had a break. He missed wide, and there were a lot of breaks in that first period. A lot of fast rush chances for the Rangers, and eventually one goes in. It's Zibanejad with his 15th of the season from Buchnevich and Fox at 7:02. And the Devils' defense was an issue to that point in the game, just allowing way too many odd man rushes, way too many home run passes. Strome then hits the side of the net. Kravtsov was getting chances as well. Kravtsov wouldn't get on the board, but it's going to happen. He's going to start putting the puck in the back of the net, and it's going to be good to be a Rangers fan when that does happen. Power play for the Devils in the last minute, so that bleeds over into the second period. The Rangers finish off that penalty kill. Hughes had a chance that was fired wide. Wood had a break, shot high on that. Smith and McLeod then had a fight, so that's 2 fights in this game. And yeah, there was some fighty hockey tonight. Lafreniere and Thompson were unfriendly too. So Tyce Thompson, new to the league, decided, well, maybe I'll take on Lafreniere. And they weren't very friendly with one another. No fight that I saw. So the shots were only 4-2 for the Devils with 6.5 minutes left. It was a chess game of a hockey game, and honestly, it was just that the Devils couldn't generate enough at that stage of the game to really break through. Panarin had a chance in close. There was a last-minute save by Shesterkin, but it was a period that only had 12 shots. So we go to the third period. Strome was down. He would skate off. He was okay. Things get scrummy a couple of times early in this period, as, again, we've already had 2 fights. These teams getting on each other's nerves. The Rangers not getting the fast breaks anymore at that stage of the game. But Panarin would score from Hedl and Fox at 7 minutes and 50 seconds. So Fox with a couple of secondary assists continues his hot streak. And then Trouba hits the post. Trouba was a post away from a third goal. The Devils had a 3-on-1. Keandre Miller defends that. Smith's shot was stopped by Shesterkin. Hischier had a chance that was stopped as the Devils did try to break through and break that shutout. Goalie pull with 2 minutes left, and then with 1 minute and 19 seconds left, the Rangers take a penalty. So that makes it a 6-on-4 for the Devils. Timeout by the Devils before said power play, and in the end, Buchnevich gets the empty net goal, which is also a shorthanded marker at 19:32. That makes it a 3-0 score, which is your final, and it is the 20,000th goal in New York Rangers history. So it's one of those things that's kind of a fun trivia thing. Who scored their 20,000th goal? Butchnevich. 3-0 Rangers. They go to 20, 16, and 6. They stay within shouting distance of the Bruins. For New Jersey, 14, 21, and 6. They're done. Shots in this one actually favored New Jersey throughout. 10-8 in the first, 8-4 in the second, 9-8 in the third. Final shots 27-20 in favor of the Devils. The Devils also had the only 2 power plays of the game, and of course they didn't score. Shesterkin makes all 27 saves for his first career shutout. And Blackwood saved 17 out of 19 at the other end of the ice. Frustrating result for the Devils, I guess. But again, you're watching all these kids play, and once you sell off at the deadline, some teams just kind of fall off. And for the Devils, every loss takes you closer to potentially getting a really good draft pick this year, right? So it's another, blue chip prospect for the Devils. So gotta find that silver lining in there. All right, next up. So Calgary, the Flames they're in tough. The idea that they could still make the playoffs, I guess, is mathematically possible. But for them to make the playoffs, they're going to need some help. And they get to help themselves potentially tomorrow night. We'll see how that goes for them. So there was an early press by the Leafs in this one. Riddick makes his first save versus the Flames. Riddick making the start tonight for Toronto. And Valimaki says, I know who he is, and I score on him in practice. I'll score on him here too. He scores from Lucic and Backlund at 4:37. So in the 1,000th game for Milan Lucic, he has an assist. At a little bit past the halfway mark, Hyman would tie it from Riley and Tavares at 10:37. So for Morgan Riley, that is point number 300 in his career. So it's a 1-1 tie. And yet, this was not a game that had a ton of really good prime chances either way. You could see the Flames were playing a different style. More of a Daryl Sutter style in this game. Sabourin and Lucic then had a fight on the whistle, and of course, that leads people to say, well, wait a minute. So now Lucic has an assist and he has a fight. Where's the goal? Because then that's your Gordie Howe hat trick, and in your 1,000th game, that wouldn't be too shabby, right? Flames would try to answer that goal as well after the fight. Hyman's chance went wide. The Leafs would pressure with 2 minutes left, but we come out of the first period. We are tied at 1. Second period, first minute power play for the Flames, and they score very quickly. Lindholm with the goal from Tkachuk and Gaudreau at 34 seconds. And what's interesting is that goal is the only shot in the game in the first 5 minutes. That is interesting, isn't it, Shadow? I know, it is interesting. So, yeah, it was kind of a slow start, but for the Flames, that's fine. They're up 2-1. Make the game as slow as you want. Markstrom denied Tavares. There were few chances either way through the first 30 minutes of this game. It was just that's the best way to put it. I think there were, in the first 30 minutes of this game, there were, I think, 16 shots, something like that. Riddick then saved a chance from Lindholm. The Leafs pressed with 8 minutes left. The Flames then had their pressure as well right after that. So some good pressure either way. Not that there was a ton of shots for either team when they got those presses. The Flames get a late power play, which led to a shorthanded chance for Mikheyev, and that penalty would be killed off. The Leafs made a push at the end of the period, but it's 2-1 Flames as we go into the third period. In the third, the Flames beat out an early icing. They had a lot of jump. This was a team that, unlike some of their other recent games, they looked like they really wanted it, and that desperate hockey was there. So they had that going for them, and then Markstrom denies Marner, as Markstrom had a decent game, and then Kerfoot scores from Tavares and Hyman at 6:17. So that ties the game up at 2, and that's your momentum swing. The Leafs were pressing for the lead after that. A lot of confidence there. Matthews doesn't get on the board tonight, but he was really prominent, and that line of his was very prominent throughout the game. Power play then for the Leafs. It was a 4-minute power play on a high stick. Great kill by the Flames. It allows 2 shots for the Toronto Maple Leafs during that entire 4 minutes. The Flames press in the closing seconds, but we go to overtime. In overtime, early control went to the Leafs, and then the puck goes over to Calgary, and at 36 seconds, they score. So the Leafs weren't able to get anything with that puck. They got the first shot, but when it went the other way, it goes in. First shot for Calgary in the overtime is a goal, as Gaudreau scores from Lindholm and Giordano at 36 seconds. The Flames, who again, their playoff hopes are very, very slim. They go to 18-21-3. For Toronto, they're 28-11-4. And you have to think teams that are behind them have to be watching some of these recent games and saying, maybe. Like Edmonton watching this, and for Winnipeg watching this, they have to think, the odds of us catching them are slim, but that helps that they only got 1 point instead of 2, and they lost against Montreal last night. So, shots in this one favored Toronto in the first 7-5, favored Calgary in the second 8-6, 14-12 Calgary in the third. Both teams had 1 shot in the overtime, Calgary with the one that matters, the overtime winner. Final shots 28-26 for Calgary. Power plays, the Flames go 1 for 2, Toronto goes 0 for 2. Markstrom saves 23 out of 25, Riddick saves 25 out of 28. And so Riddick makes his debut as a Leaf against his former teammates and takes the overtime loss. And you could see after the game he wasn't impressed with that. And he did admit after the game that he had a moment in the first period where he was kind of scared because the blue sweater's coming at him. He's used to the red jerseys being his teammates, the white jerseys with the Flames on them being his teammates. So a little bit of an adjustment for him in this game, especially since it was against his former teammates. But I thought he played all right. But, we'll see if the Flames can make up more ground when they play Montreal next. They have 5 games left against Montreal. So it's still mathematically possible. I just don't know that it's going to happen. But hey, it is time to change boards. All right, next up, we've got Tampa Bay and Nashville. So John Cooper went off on on his team after this game, and basically said that it wouldn't have mattered who was in net tonight because those goals go in on any goaltender. The Bolts are a completely different team in front of McElhinney. This is part of the reason why I was kind of surprised at the deadline. Julien Brisebois didn't make a change in net and at least find somebody else to be that third goaltender for the Tampa Bay Lightning at a time where a lot of teams are going with 3 goalies. So Savard was paired with Hedman. I'm going to go out on a limb and say he may have been a minus tonight. I haven't checked the stats, but it's possible. There was a post for Ekholm. McElhinney covered, and that post would tell you how this was going to go. Shots were 2-1 for Tampa Bay at 6 minutes. And then Sisson scores from Pitlick and Josi at 6:38. I believe that was the second shot for Nashville. And then Josi scores from Grimaldi at 8:31. That was the fourth shot for Nashville. So on 4 shots, they have 2 goals. Again, if you're going to say, well, there was no chance for McElhinney on either chance, then the defense is just allowing Nashville to come in and tee off and get really prime chances, right? Howla then had a fast break. McElhinney saves. So again, this game was just very one-sided in terms of who was getting all the opportunities, although the shots would tell you it was close. Predators get a power play. There was shorthanded chances for the Bolts. However, after that power play was over, Arvidsson scores from Johansson and Harper at 13:50. That was the 6th shot of the game for Nashville, and that left me thinking, at what point do you maybe think about switching goalies? Do you even think about switching goalies? Predators press with 2 minutes left. The Bolts would clear that out, and in the last minute they get a power play. So it's 3-0 after 1. Second period. 41 seconds into the period, that power play the Bolts had, they score on it. It's point from Hedman and Sergachev, so that makes it 3-1. And it was a really strong start to the period for the Bolts. However, while the Bolts would press at 7 minutes and the Predators were on their heels, when the puck went the other way, it ends up in the net. It's Grimaldi from Johansson and Arvidsson in 8:09. That was the 9th shot of the game for the Preds, and 4 of them went in the net. So again, if you're going to say, well, none of them are on McElhinney, then this is an absolute failure of the defense. This is a failure of the Tampa Bay Lightning in front of their goaltender. And it's starting to become kind of a pattern with Tampa. Like, their record hasn't been great over the last about a month now. And it might be time to start, waking up a little bit. Predators get a power play. There was 2 minutes then of 4-on-4 after that ended. McElhinney had a mishandle behind his net. The Bolts did recover and clear it out, but that was kind of scary. Then there's another Predators power play. It is unsuccessful, and we go to the third period. There were no shots in the first 5 minutes of that period as the Preds put an absolute trap all over this game. This was, not that would last, but for the first 5 minutes it was. Predators trapping, killing the clock. Saros made a nice save minus his blocker. That's scary when you see a goaltender without his blocker trying to make a save, and you're like, man, if that hits his hand, that could probably break it, right? And then Arvidsson scored at 9:59 on the second shot that Nashville had in that period to the one shot Tampa had to that stage. That's the 14th shot of the game, and 5 of them have gone in. And it was a breakaway. So again, I'm not saying anything about McElhinney here. It's a breakaway goal for Arvidsson. It's the second goal of the game. Josi with the assist. Arvidsson's heated up again. He's up to 10 goals now in the year. He's a very good goal scorer. But you see this, and it's an alarm bell. It has to be an alarm bell for Tampa, right? Gord would score from Chernak at 11:29. It was a nice hard-working shift for Yanni Gord. He gets rewarded with a goal. Sorelli then got a chance as the Bolts were pressing, and the announcers were doing their best to say, hey, look, if they get another, they're only down by 2. The Eddie Olczyk thing. Well, they're down by 4, but if they get 1, then they're down by 3. And if they get 2, they're only down by 2. And if they get all 4, then they're tied. Okay, Eddie. I love the optimism, but and not that they were commentating this game. Jeannot then scores his first NHL goal from Trennan at 14:34. So that made it 6-2. Tampa Bay would get a power play. That was killed off. And then Granlund scores from Pitlick and Cousins at 18:34. So 7-2. Nashville on a roll, 24-19-1. Tampa Bay 28-12-2. And don't look now, but Nashville really has to be seen as the clear favorite to get 4th spot in that division. I really can't see anybody else threatening them for it with the way they've been playing lately. The shots in this one favor Tampa in the first 8-7, Tampa in the second 7-5, Nashville in the third 10-8. Final shots 23-22 for Tampa. Power plays 1 for 2 for the Bolts, 0 for 3 for the Preds. McElhinney, 15 saves on 22 shots. Saros saves 21 out of 23. So again, the save percentage is terrible for McElhinney, but if you listen to John Cooper after that game, he doesn't blame McElhinney for this. He blames the team in front of him for the way they're playing in front of him. And yeah, it's an issue. It's definitely an issue for Tampa, because you have to be able to give your starting goaltender the night off, especially with just how compressed the schedule is. So, yeah. All right, last game of the night. Well, it wouldn't be a night without Dallas losing in overtime, would it? And, you know, it's funny. When the overtime started, I might have put the team's records up there and went, oh, well, I know how overtime goes because it's Dallas. First period, defense was really good early for both teams. Nothing getting to the net either way. Panthers get a power play. That was a no. The shots were in the Panthers' favor at 9.5 minutes, 5-1. So they did start getting chances. Dallas wasn't. And that would be the storyline for most of the first 40 minutes of the game, really. Panthers get a power play. Then there's a minute and 26 seconds of 4-on-4. Hudobin stopped a chance from Weegar, but then during that 4-on-4, Barkov scores from Nudavara and Huberdeau at 11 minutes and 50 seconds. But less than a minute later, Robertson, he scores from Ben and Klingberg at 12:42. And that was the second shot by Dallas in this game. And not at all indicative of what kind of night Drieger was about to have. Hudobin then covered as the Panthers pressed late, but it's 1-1 after 1. And with the way Dallas played that first period, you have to feel like Dallas was kind of fortunate. That good fortune doesn't last in the second period. Radko Gudas. Yeah, Radko Gudas got a goal tonight from Yandel at 2:45. We get 2 minutes of 4-on-4 not long after that. The Panthers controlled most of the 4-on-4 play, and Anthony Duclair had a great game tonight. He's not on the score sheet, but he had a really good game. Shots were 3-2 for the Stars at 9 minutes. The Panthers pressed with 3.5 minutes left. Some good shot blocking by the Stars at that stage. With 2:48 left, the Stars get a power play. Drieger absolutely robs Robertson, and that penalty is killed off. So we go to the third period. Lou Serenen was basically benched. He only had 4 shifts by the time the third period rolls around. I didn't hear his name at all in that third period either. So good chance that in the next game he's a healthy scratch. Lamico had a chance that was saved. There's a power play for the Stars. They really needed shots. They weren't getting him at that point either. They would show up later in the period, though. There was a 4-on-4 for 57 seconds, and then during that 4-on-4, Drieger denies Cogliano. Beautiful save by Drieger, who had a really good game. Post for Ben. Drieger covered it after that. Forsling then hit a post at the other end, so close call there. That one almost went in. And then Pavelski. Pavelski scores from Robertson and Ben at 8:26. So Robertson with a goal and an assist. Jamie Benn with a couple of helpers. And it's a 2-2 tie. The Panthers would try to answer after that. Then there was a goal line stand by Drieger. I don't know how else to describe it. Just the puck's going back to the net. And it's on the line, and he just paddles it out. And it was a beautiful save. I don't know about save of the year, but there's been some great saves this year in the NHL. The Stars were then pressing with 8 minutes left. Dowling had a chance on a 3-on-2, which shot high. Dallas then had a 2-on-1 that misfired, as they had tons of opportunities late in this game. Pavelski's robbed with 1 minute 55 seconds left. The timeout is called by the Stars with 54.8 seconds left. And if I'm Rick Bowness, I'm saying, look, we don't want to go to overtime because we suck. We suck in overtime. Can we not? We don't want overtime because we suck at it. So let's win this in regulation. Dallas doesn't win it in regulation. It's going to overtime, and I'm sure Rick Bowness is thinking, here we go. Early control in their defense was to the Stars, and then Jamie Benn was guilty of a trip on Duclair, and it was a clear, obvious trip. They have to call that. There's no way you don't. Gives the Panthers a power play, and they score. Vetrano scores the power play marker at 3:09. Florida wins this one in overtime because that's how Dallas rolls in overtime. They're now 2-12 after 60 minutes. Florida's 27-12-4. Dallas is 15-14-12. 12. Shots 10-6 Florida in the first, 7-5 Dallas in the second, 12-12 in the third, and then the shots were 4-1 Florida in the overtime. Final shots 31-26 for the Panthers. Panthers go 1 for 5 on the power play. Dallas goes 0 for 3. Drieger 24 saves on 26 shots. Not too bad considering he allowed a goal on his second shot. And Hudobin 28 saves on 31 shots. He played pretty well also. But in overtime, it's not not Dallas's game. I don't understand what happens to this team in overtime and in shootouts. They have talented players. I swear they do. And yet, in overtime, it always blows up in their faces. No idea why, but it is costing them a spot in the playoffs. They now have 42 points, and they are 7 points behind Nashville. So even though they have games in hand, Nashville is well ahead of them. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below regarding any of these games. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through, you just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.